Now, the secret ingredient to achieving financial freedom, well, that boils down to cash flow. You see, I jump in and help business owners all across the country learn actual tested in the trenches tactics, techniques to achieve the outcomes that they desire. And those outcomes are financial freedom. Now, I host these events throughout the year, and I invite my protege members in, and we dive and spend plenty of time together over the course of a weekend in what we call boot camps, where we literally navigate through all of the different steps to get to those particular outcomes. We hosted one recently. It was called the Compound Asset Acquisition Bootcamp. And what this all entailed was us diving deep into things like deal analysis, deal sourcing, negotiation skills, all related to acquiring assets that cash flow. Now, I wanted to give you an opportunity to learn vicariously through that experience, even though you may not have had the opportunity to attend live. So in the clip that you're about to see, be sure to pay special attention to the nuggets of wisdom that I share, because they could potentially be the thing that transforms your life for the better.
I'm communicating with my community saying, this is a business entity of some sort that is designed to engage in commerce. Commerce is the buying and or selling of goods and or services with the public. The buying and or selling of goods and or services with the public. Now, if you were going to have a risk event, where do you think the risk event would occur? Like, if you're going to get sued, where would you get sued in this framework? Do you get sued at a trust level? No. Do you get sued at the holding company level? No. Why not? Why not? It's not? Yeah, it's not interacting with the public. The only place you can get sued is at the operating company level. So if you know that, you can design it. You can design it. My operating company doesn't own anything, because if it gets sued, its stuff could get taken. My holding company owns everything. Remember, a holding company owns assets. My holding company can lease all my stuff to my operating company. It can lease my laptops. It can lease my automobiles. It can lease my buildings, right? It can lease all of those things to where I'm engaging in commerce. That's why we design it this way. You can have family management companies that are doing things, right, that are engaging on your behalf and working with the other entities that you have to defund where you potentially could get sued. Because this is where you're earning money too, right? If you're engaging in commerce, well, here we go. If you're engaging in commerce, this is where money gets earned, so you don't want to store it there. You don't want to store it there. You want to minimize the amount of money that is available on a regular basis here. How do you do that? Well, you send money up to the holding company, pay management fees. You send money to your family management company. You send money to another company, right? You can send money anywhere through contract as long as there's a legitimate business reason to do it, right? Yes.
Okay, so
hold on. We need everyone to be able to hear.
on the holding company side, so you purchase everything on the holding company side? For
You
example,
can.
Let's say
You
like
can.
my organization, they need like laptops. We need like assets, things.
Yep.
So we buy everything from the operational side. I mean the holding company side, and then we.
You
go
simply
ahead and pass
create
it.
a lease agreement to lease your stuff here. Now, here's the beauty. This is where a lot of financial gurus will say, Edward, don't do that, because then you're going to have to pay sales tax when you lease your equipment down. Here's the thing. Where do I tell you to create your holding companies? Wyoming. What's interesting about Wyoming is Wyoming doesn't have a sales tax. Not for services rendered to your own company. Cool, right? So you can have your holding company in Wyoming own your stuff, lease it to your operating company in whatever state that may be listed, right? Doesn't matter. You're not going to pay sales tax because the holding company exists in Wyoming. There's no sales tax to collect. Not for these types of services. Now, you could do that, or some individuals do choose to create an operating company to own stuff too. I'm not a big fan of that, but you could do it. That's why this is something that can be fine-tuned for your circumstance. You could have an operating company own the stuff and then lease it over, right? You can create a separate entity, a leasing entity. Typically, the only time I would encourage you to do that is if this is going to be an actual business, right? And you're going to lease it to third parties, not yourself. And then you just happen to lease it to yourself as well. This is usually when we're talking about integration, when you're doing a roll-up, you're buying a complementary business as an example. Maybe that business has equipment that it's leasing out to third parties, but it's the same type of equipment you lease. So you may buy that business, right? That's when it's an operating company. It's operating company if it's engaged in business with commerce from a perspective. Your holding company, though, that's internal. That's only engaged with your own businesses. And your own business is highly unlikely to sue another one of your businesses, right? That's why we design it this way. When we're talking about passive, maybe we throw in another type of trust. Like if we're talking about real estate, maybe we're going to have land trust as an example and leverage a land trust and the statutory protections that exist therein, and understand how operating companies under a land trust are more like a beneficiary of a trust. And then have that beneficiary be the landlord for the property, right? And then you're sending money up to the holding company on a regular basis, which then sends money up to the trust, right? When you go through this, you can even do this on the portfolio side of the spectrum. You can create a trust on the portfolio side of your financial life. You can create a holding company in Wyoming to own your portfolio assets. Why would you do that? Well, just by a show of hands, how many people are alive here right now? Come on. Everyone, right? That means you actually exist outside of your business. You probably walk sometimes, you may drive sometimes, right? That may happen. There is a possibility that when you're out living your life, you could cause harm. Meaning harm doesn't always happen inside of the business, right? Sometimes it happens outside of the business. And if that occurs, the harm happens outside of the business and you get sued, well, there's this interesting thing that could happen. They could take your stuff, right? But if your holding company is based in Wyoming, Wyoming has some statutory protections in there. Wyoming says that if you are sued, the only remedy a plaintiff has is something called a charging order. A charging order. These are sometimes referred to as charging order protections, right? A charging order. What a charging order is it says that that plaintiff has the right to stand in front of you for any distributions coming to you from your company. Now, you're probably going to say, Edward, that sounds horrible. Like, I want my money. This plaintiff is standing in front of me. Well, you didn't listen carefully. Because I said their only remedy is that. They can't take the company. They can't own it. They can't take it. You still own it. So you simply say, I'm not going to take a distribution. And you say, wait a minute. Ryan, you're going to say, I need my money. Well, again, you own the company. You could just choose to pay yourself a wage or a salary. That's not a distribution. You may say, well, wait a minute, Edward, come on. I don't want a wage or a salary. Okay. You own the company. You could choose to issue yourself a loan. Issue yourself a loan. That's not a distribution. What this does is it gives you the ability to negotiate with that plaintiff, and it incentivizes them to settle. Because when you have a holding company in Wyoming owning your financial assets, the thing that's almost always the least secure of your stuff because it's liquid, very easy to get access to cash when it is cash, harder to get access to cash when it's a house, very easy when it's actually cash. When you surround that by a Wyoming holding company, they can't take it. Can't take it. So you create an incentive for them to say, okay, what will you give me? Right? It all works together. That's why we design it this way.
So there you have it. Hopefully you've taken significant nuggets of wisdom out of that vicarious opportunity to learn. You see, I know that many were not able to attend a session like that live, but hopefully you've been able to take something out of that experience so that you can start to put it into practice within your own life. But before you do that, I do have a question for you. How would your life be different? Imagine for a moment that you were part of a community that engaged in discussions just like this all of the time. Well, there is such a community. It's called the Uplevel community. It's a community filled with business owners from all across the country that are all interested in the same thing that you are, taking your life and your businesses to the next level. Now, if you're interested in jumping in to explore what that community can look like and how you could potentially benefit from being part and parcel to this collaborative environment of business owners from all over the United States, all different industries and all different stages of their respective entrepreneurial journey, all you need to do is check out that link in the description below. I can't wait to see you on the inside. Bye for now.